Thinking about climate change can be overwhelming as we've been aware of its causes and impact for decades now, and all around us we bear witness to its devastating effects on our communities and ecosystems. But the good news is that we now know measures to put in place to win the fight against climate change with a view to making measurable and meaningful progress. Game-changing developments in clean energy, electric vehicle technology and energy efficiency are emerging every single day, with countries coordinating and cooperating at international levels in order to tackle the most pressing issue of our time. Technology improves and production cost goes down, but in order to meet the goal of reducing global carbon emissions by at least 45% before 2030, which experts say is a must-do to avoid the worst and deadliest impacts of climate change, there is the need to act fast. The bottom line, if the causes and effects of the climate crisis are clearer than ever, so are the solutions. The ongoing COP28 in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, presents vistas of opportunities to countries including Nigeria, with the signing of strategic MOUs, initiating transition to solar power and electric vehicles, and also aviation sector, to mention a few. These and other salient issues will be the focus of our discussions on Weekend Fire tonight. And my guests are the Minister of State for Environment, Dr. Isiaq Salako, joining us from Dubai, venue of the ongoing COP28, as well as Mr. Padi Izala, an environmentalist. I am Olajide Bello. First, the news. With the right leadership at all levels of governance, the country's growing population can be harnessed and positively deployed to transform the nation. Vice President Kashim Shettima said their views at the graduation ceremony of the 16th Executive Intelligence Management course of the National Institute for Security Studies. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
I hereby confer on you all, fellow Security Institute.
This signifies the conferment of Fellow of Security Studies on each of the 86 participants of the Executive Intelligence Management Course 16 of the National Institute for Security Studies. In the course of the 10-month intensive training, the participants had the opportunity to visit 12 countries and 12 states across Nigeria, all in the course to provide strategic level intelligence towards the implementation of national security policies and development.
The hope for the black man rests with this nation. The trajectory of global growth is facing Africa, and Nigeria will make or mar that transition. The man currently at the helm of affairs in this country is a man of vision and courage. I have seen the soul of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and with no intent to play to the gallery. You should excuse me if I do so, but I am speaking to you with all honesty. He means well for the nation, and we all need to rally around him, support him, and reposition the nation.
The Course 16 has equipped participants with leadership skills to be able to address the dynamics of national and global security challenges in their respective agencies and countries, all to foster interagency synergy and international cooperation.
We shall continue to appreciate all the agencies that partner with us in the journey so far, and I promise the other security agencies that the DSS will continue to provide you with proactive intelligence so as to drive your operations intelligence-wise.
I'm happy to attest that our graduates have met all the expectations of the course and are leaving the institute better than they came in so many ways.
Highlight of the ceremony was the presentation of report of the study conducted by the participants with the theme Globalization and Regional Economic Integration, Implication for Sustainable Development in Africa. From the National Institute for Security Studies, Abuja, Abrahaman Jibrila, NTA News.
The benchmarks and projections of the 2024 proposed appropriation in relation to the oil and gas sector are achievable. This is the response of the Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Mele Kyari, while fielding questions from lawmakers during the budget meeting with a Senate Committee on Appropriation. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
There are a lot of uncertainty in the oil markets. The oil price is coming down and the benchmark is going up. And I believe we need clarification.
The concern of lawmakers on meeting daily production quota by Nigeria's oil company was tied to reports of illegal oil theft, which at the last count stood at over 4,000 points on the 5,000-kilometer stretch of pipelines.
There's sustained intervention by Mr. President. There's a review of the structure of security intervention in the Niger Delta today. And we've seen a number of critical production that may come up next year.
This information raised the hope of lawmakers.
Is about 5 months into, or 4 months into the removal of subsidy. The question now is, where is the money?
In 2023 alone, Mr. Chairman, up till October, combination of taxes and royalties, this company contributed 4.445 trillion naira as direct revenues into the Federation.
The proposed 2024 budget kept daily oil production at 1.78 million barrels per day and $77.9 per barrel. In another development, Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption met with the heads of the 3 major watchdogs in Nigeria. They are the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, in continuation of the 2024 budget defense. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu says the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, is an extraordinary man whose charisma and life of service has helped to push the cause of unity in the country. She said this in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, where she joined other Nigerians to celebrate the Senate President on his 61st birthday. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo has more.
From the moment she arrived at the airport in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State capital, and was received by wife of the state governor, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu left no one in doubt that she was in the state to celebrate Nigeria's unity, embodied in the person of Nigeria's Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, who turns 61. Leading an impressive roll call of eminent Nigerians, particularly former and current members of the National Assembly, the First Lady, herself a former member of the Red Chamber, says the celebration is a time to reflect on the contributions of the Senate President to the development of Nigeria and Akwa Ibom State.
As the Senate President, he has displayed exemplary leadership, fostered unity, and promoted the interests of many Nigerians.
Impressed by the non-partisan nature of the celebration, which drew guests across party lines, the First Lady says the era of politics must now completely yield ground to effective governance.
We want to give financial assistance to our elderly citizens. His RHI Elderly Support Scheme will be giving about 250 per state, 100,000. They should allow us to do that. Politics is over. They should allow us to govern the people.
And from the podium, she moved straight to the birthday cake, where she led an elated celebrant to perform the highlight. For the Senate President, who appreciated the benevolence of God for turning 61, the next phase of his life remains dedicated to pursuing reforms that will better the lives of Nigerians in line with the vision of President Bola Tinubu.
And we assure you, as senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not senators of our political parties, that will work together with the Speaker of the House of Representatives and all our members to make sure that we make legislation, tinker with the existing laws, reform those that we need to reform, rejig those that we need to rejig, and at the end, bring us something that will benefit the good people of Nigeria.
In what was a sharp departure from the mood of the celebration, the Senate President had earlier led a 1-minute silence for the victims of drone misfire in Kaduna State. From Uyo in Akwa Ibom, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
And still on the Senate President's birthday, Uyo Akwa Ibom State was agog as Nigerian's Senate President Godswill Akpabio, who is celebrating 61 years on earth, had a colloquium and grand reception in his honor. Kevin Samuel reports.
Nigeria's Senate President is 61, and to celebrate the man Godswill Akpabio is the reason for this gathering of the creme de la creme in the society. Speaker after speaker agree that the President of the Senate is an uncommon transformer whose presence anywhere comes with positive changes.
The distinguished Senate President have made enormous contributions to the development of our state. As a two-term governor, most of the landmarks we have seen in this state, including this stadium that is so well named after him, is his handwork. Your life remains a fountain of purposeful pursuits.
As Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who, for the first time, ordered forensic investigation from the NTA. It was a very huge and difficult assignment.
I congratulate you on your numerous achievements. May the confidence your people have in you continue to inspire and strengthen you in the future task ahead. He began to assume the role of leadership since when he was a young man. Indeed, he was the head boy, the senior prefect of the secondary school he attended.
A minute silence in honor of those who recently lost their lives in Kaduna State was observed. In Uyo, Kevin Samuel, NTA News.
As part of strategies to tailor its operations in line with international best practices, the National Examination Council has inaugurated 5 significant projects to promote culture of excellence and integrity. The events, which held in Mina, Niger State, also provided an opportunity for the registrar of the examination body, Professor Dantani Wushishi, to present his stewardship in the last 2.5 years. Fatima Ali reports.
Projects inaugurated include 70 specialized examination logistic vehicles equipped with stringent security measures, driver's pool to prioritize comfort and overall well-being, as well as 1 block of 3 classrooms to accommodate senior secondary school students of its staff school, which is as part of NECO's corporate social responsibility. Also unveiled is both data and scanning centers fully equipped with the state-of-the-art equipment to safeguard sensitive materials and to ensure speedy processing of examination scripts, leading to faster release of results to be accessed anywhere in the world.
The mandate of this government and every single lover of education in Nigeria is to particularly make sure that all our assessment systems, our entry systems, our schooling systems, our teaching and learning environment is a top one in the Committee of Nations in the world.
NECO Registrar and Chief Executive Professor Dantani Wushishi attributed feats achieved under his stewardship to dedication, resilience and collective effort of entire staff of the Council to transform the vision of its founding fathers to reality.
We are excited to embark on the next chapter of our journey, armed with the resources, expertise, and unalloyed support to continue delivering excellence and shaping the future of education in Nigeria, in line with the renewed hope agenda of His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
I see clients, I see exam process and exam systems getting better and better, living to fulfill the mandate for which they are established.
The National Examinations Council, in its 15 years of existence, will receive appropriation for capital projects for the first time, which will be geared towards construction of 7 additional state offices in the country. Fatima Aliu, NTA News.
The 91st ECOWAS Council of Ministers regional meeting has ended in Abuja with renewed vigor in strengthening democracy and fostering development in West Africa and the Sahel. Garba Natala reports that member states have concluded submissions to their principles ahead of the 64th summit of the Authority of Heads of State and Government.
Several issues raised formed part of the resolution of the regional body. Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Tuga further clarified on some of the resolutions that were considered for necessary action in facilitation for better cooperation among member states.
The issue of the customs union, the issue of the ECO, the common currency, removal of tariffs. You have the Abuja-Lagos corridor and several other trade corridors that are being further reinforced by the actions of ECOWAS.
Their major concern remains on the political stability of the West African sub-region and the Sahel.
With regards to Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea, of course, the door is always open. We will continue to work towards the transitions in these countries.
ECOWAS is doing a lot of work when it comes to encouraging democracy, democratic institutions, and good governance in the region.
Nigeria's permanent representative to ECOWAS, Ambassador Musa Nuhu, also states that all 15 member states foresee the necessity of strengthening economic ties within the ECOWAS community for greater progress. In Abuja, Garba Muhammad Atala, NTA News.
Nigeria has retained its record grade A status in the Global Alliance of Human Rights Institutions. This was made known as National Human Rights Commission marks the International Human Rights Day in commemoration of 75 years of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Omenka Amarachuku reports.
The International Human Rights Day celebration is a call to action to remind people on the journey towards the December 1948 UNESCO Declaration on Human Rights. 75 years down the line, the memory lane in championing the cause of human rights promotion and protection, the National Human Rights Commission is using the day to create awareness with a road walk around the streets of Abuja.
The fact that we are independent is also something that is something to be very, very proud of. It is one of the principles and it's one of the requirements that a body that handles this kind of function should be independent. And Nigeria is committed to the promotion, protection and enforcement of human rights.
We have a toll-free number here. All of us are wearing the dress which shows 6472, which are toll-free number. These are advancements in the area of human rights. That means that anybody in Nigeria from any corner of Nigeria can report a violation of human rights.
The commemoration with the theme, Dignity and Freedom for All. The Commission is hopeful Nigerians will join cause of human rights protection in a bid to sustain the country's A status listed by the Global Alliance of Human Rights Institutions. In Abuja, Umenka Machuku, NTA News.
Adoptable recommendations have been made after a two-day stakeholders meeting at the instance of the National Council for Arts and Culture to reposition the National Festival NAFEST to drive socio-economic growth. Elizabeth Omori reports the part of recommendations include promotion of international diplomacy for peace and cultural exchange and creation of gender-sensitive structures for women and persons living with disabilities to contribute meaningfully to the society.
This sector is the only sector that will save this country. Oil may soon go dry. Where do we go? We must start to move. So you are the engine room to move this country to the next level.
The report of the 8 syndicates group also underscores the importance of the cultural markets across the Federation to facilitate employment
and the development of arts and cultural industry.
It is expected that cultural agencies work with state governments to push for the implementation of the National Endowment Fund for Arts. President Bola Tinubu sends his felicitations to General T.Y. Danjumani's 86th birthday. A statement by the presidential advisor, Media and Publicity, Nigerian Gilali, says President Tinubu extols General Danjuma for his many philanthropic ventures, recalling his commitment and dedication to supporting victims of terrorism through his reputable foundation and other vital initiatives. As the elder statesman turns 86, President Tinubu wishes him longevity, happiness and strength in the service of the nation. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu commiserates with the custodian of the two holy mosques in the kingdom, King Salman of Saudi Arabia and the Real House of Saudi, on the passing of His Highness Prince Talal bin Abdulaziz bin Bandar Al Saudi. Expressing grief at the loss, the President acknowledges the departed prince's dedicated service to his country throughout his outstanding career in the Royal Saudi Air Force and the Saudi Intelligence Agency. In a statement by the special advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Nigerian Gilali, the President notes that the memory of the late Prince is forever etched in the annals of the Kingdom of Unloved Delhi. He prayed God Almighty to grant the repose of the soul of the departed and comfort for the Royal House of the Saudi and the Kingdom and all who mourn the irreparable loss. You're watching Weekend File on the network service of the NTA. More reports when we return. Thanks for being there. COP28 marks the conclusion of the first ever stocktake, the first assessment of a global progress in implementation of the 2015 Paris Agreement. It opened in the United Arab Emirates with calls for accelerated action and high ambition against the escalating climate crisis. While the UN Convention condemns countries for not doing enough, developing countries blame their developed counterparts for their climate woes. How can the continent maximize the opportunities in climate financing, and is the laws damage funds the solution for the problems? Charles Alpha reports from Dubai.
The devastating effects of climate change is that which has kept every living organism on the planet on red alert. From land to air and water lives, the impact is felt everywhere. From drought to land degradation, deforestation and extreme heat waves, rise in temperature in the north, to flood, erosion and rise in sea levels to the south. Concerns over man's survival remains.
Lands are being taken over by flood and people are actually moving up north. So the meeting point is the central, north central, and that's where we've been having crisis in the last 50 years in the country as a result of finance hardest classes. This is strongly related to climate change.
Science has shown that man has up to 6 years before the planet caves in if urgent global action is not taken. At COP28, the United Arab Emirates focus is on solutions, acceleration and the highest ambition. It is a must that countries deliver a big switch, and not just what governments must do, but how to get the job done to save nature, lives and livelihood, and keep 1.5 degrees within reach. So, there are calls for leaders to go beyond scoring points to bold climate action. This, delegates say, can be the meal ticket of the 21st century.
Based on the approach of everybody from Nigeria and the way the country has so concerned about the climate change, we're going to achieve a lot. That's my dream, to see what will happen.
We'll cut it down of greenhouse gas emission, renewed commitment to the new loss and damage fund, and climate finance and save man's world from falling. What then must be done to stay below 1.5 degrees?
They're able to achieve the successful energy transition. That means people will not be cutting down our trees. These policies are going to tax oil and gas companies based on the tons of CO2, the carbon emission they release, and you would see consequent results whereby companies will be scared to release exorbitant amount of fossil fuel or carbon emissions into the environment.
Climate financing and the loss and damage fund initiatives are instruments the United Nations thinks can help countries and individuals cushion and mitigate the impact of climate change. And so it was adopted with countries making more commitments. But the concerns are that how flexible will accessing this fund be for Africa and Nigeria? How can the continent maximize these opportunities And is the loss and damage fund the solution for this escalation problem?
I'm hoping also that Nigeria can benefit as much as possible from this fund to invest in some of the mitigation and adaptation challenges that we have in the country.
Charles Alpha, NTA News.
And to talk more on impact and solutions to climate change, my guests are the Minister of State for Environment, Dr. Isiaq Salako, joining us via Zoom, and an environmentalist and seasoned multilingual communication and development specialist, Paddy Ezeala. Thank you for joining us on Wicked Fire.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's start with Mr. Paddy here. I think you're having some kind of connection issues with the Minister of State. Yes, where is Nigeria in meeting the goals of reducing global carbon emissions by at least 45% before 2030?
Well, that's possible. We are working towards that, but the energy transition program is going on. But is it fast enough? But while doing that, there are some measures that have to be taken, because we talk about the solutions to climate change, and you cannot move on without talking about conservation. You know, we have to make sure that the carbon sinks we have, which is our rainforest and other forests for that matter, are well conserved, and that illegal logging should not have a place in Nigeria today, in Cross River State, in Edo State, in Ogun State, and many places, even in the Middle Belt. There we have instances where on daily basis we are felling trees with reckless abandon. When you talk about climate change, it is staring us in the face. You look at the Sahel region of Nigeria, northern Nigeria, the desert is encroaching speedily, coming down. The Lake Chad is almost gone, and extreme weather events that we are hitherto unknown are manifesting these days, flooding all over the country, you see. So these are the things we have to come. When we talk about emission and other, gradually energy transition will take place. But before it takes place, are we doing the needful, what we should do locally to be able to contain these excesses? There are rising temperatures all over the country, all over Africa, all over the world. The consequences are there. Rising sea levels. What are we doing? We have to act to ensure that these things don't get out of hand. As of mitigation of climate change through reduction of emissions. We are doing that, but all of us know that it is not something that is going to happen in hours or days or even months and years. I mean, in the next 2 or 3 years, no.
All right, Mr. Paddy, let's head straight to the Minister now. Honorable Minister, what are your thoughts on the goals of global carbon, reducing global carbon emission by at least 45% before 2030?
Thank you very much. It is an achievable goal. It's a target that Nigeria has set, though conditionally. That is the given that Nigeria receives all the international support that is needed. Nigeria has set that target to reduce its carbon emission by 45% by 2030. And it's achievable. It's something we can do, and it is something I think Nigeria is committed to doing. Here at the COP28, Nigeria has been at the forefront of championing nature-based solutions to the climate challenge in terms of, just like your guest in the studio has mentioned, in terms of planting trees, conserving our forests. Today, for example, we participated in the High Ambition Coalition for Nature and People, where Nigeria was very forceful in calling for more nature-based solutions. We also participated in a mangrove event where Nigeria was equally forceful to the conservation of our mangrove forest, which is very essential for carbon sink, removing carbon from the atmosphere. But by and large, it is not a one-size-fits-all thing. As we are reducing emissions, we must also create avenue for removing carbon from the atmosphere. We must also work with our methane, because that's also an important pollutant that incriminated in the challenge of climate change. So I believe that if you approach this from these multiple parts, we can achieve our targets to reduce our emission by 45% by 2030.
Okay, Honorable Minister, let me come to Mr. Party here in the studios. Climate change reflects the variations in the average daily weather conditions, such as temperature, humidity, rainfall, and sunshine of location over an extended period. How can these be a threat to humans and the economy?
Yes, the economy, the local economy, the GDP, the worst hit, the most vulnerable to climate change are African farmers. So it affects agricultural productivity. We are not getting what we're supposed to get. The rains are not coming when they're supposed to come. They come at the wrong time, and at times it comes when farmers had already planted in dry land and the seeds or seedlings die off, and that is a disaster. You know, ADB, African Development Bank, is talking about insurance for farmers now. So it's affecting everybody. Food prices going up. In fact, in some cases, food crisis. In some places, farmers are not producing as they are supposed to produce. That is a very serious matter. If you talk about our economy, GDP, what the contribution of agriculture is enormous. You know, so when anything goes wrong in that sector, the effect is multifarious. So that is number one. They are the heavily impacted. Then some diseases proliferate during rising temperatures, extreme weather, conditions. So that's also another challenge. So I've worked in some organizations during the West Africa food crisis some years ago, and I came face to face to what climate change can do. Can render people. It also causes forced migrations, which has also led to some conflicts here and there. So a lot of issues. So some people stay in some places, they don't even understand the enormity of the challenge before us. It's multi-pronged.
All right, Mr. Party, let's head straight back to the Minister. Honorable Minister, what technological solutions is Nigeria adopting to mitigate the impact of climate change?
Well, there are many options, and in the market today, many technological solutions are being offered. We have the technology of carbon capture, carbon storage, and carbon utilization. That's the technology that can remove carbon from the atmosphere and can store it and can also make it useful for generating energy. We also have the green hydrogen technology, whereby hydrogen can be generated from water, and the hydrogen so generated, which is called green hydrogen, can be used for for powering, for energy. We have technology to also support disaster warning and disaster preparedness, particularly in terms of flooding, in terms of climate change-induced disasters. Technologies are now available. Of course, you know about the technology with respect to electric vehicles, where transport system can move from the use of fossil fuel to using batteries. We have technology with respect to using solar energy. We have technology with respect to using wind energy. These are all technologies that are available globally. And Nigeria now needs to be selective on the kind of technology that best favors the environment, that is more affordable to the people, and will also be accessible to our people. By and large, you find out that for now, a lot is being done with the use of solar energy, and the technology in terms of using solar energy energy from the sun, using solar panels, and using batteries to store those energy and using it to generate electricity is gaining a lot of prominence in the country. Electric vehicles are also gradually coming up, and I think that by and large, these are the kind of technology that Nigeria should be targeting. But beyond technology, use of technology, it's also important, just like I said earlier on, that we must emphasize nature-based solutions. Why nature-based solutions are so important is that because quite a number of our people are dependent on land. And when we adopt nature-based solutions, what it does is to also ensure the continuity of livelihood, the expansion of livelihood for our people. So we must also emphasize that, and we must also insist that technology
Honorable Minister,
should
sir.
be tracked. Yeah.
Honorable Minister, sir, let's just pause for now. Let's take a breather, right? I'll still come back to you. I know you have much and loads of information to give us, but let's quickly go on a short break. We'll be right back. Many thanks for being there. And let me start this segment of the discussion with Mr. Pardy and, getting your final thoughts. What are some of the fallouts of or benefits of Nigeria's attending COP28 in terms of adopting clean and green energy?
Yes, I must say that since the conference of the parties have been happening over these years, this is a particular one that the Nigerian government has taken very seriously in terms of representation, in terms of preparedness and all. And I must tell you that a lot of things are being drawn from the participation in this one. And, response to climate change, whether it's adaptation, mitigation, or building of resilience or whatever, there are modern technologies, modern strategic agreements being signed, and a lot of things, and knowledge being acquired and all that. So I think on that score, it's been wonderful, and they are still participating, and there's so much infrastructure in Nigeria with regard to conservation, with regard to protecting our natural resources, be they flora, be they fauna, and all that. So the participation has brought to the front burner again this issue, even on the part of government. I don't think when they come back, they're going to take issues of conservation, issues of tree planting, issues of protection of our vegetation more seriously than they've ever taken it, because of this participation.
Many thanks, Mr. Pardy.
Yeah.
And Honorable Minister, your final thoughts on the gains of Nigeria attending COP28. Very brief.
Yes, just to say again that as we adopt technologies that are going to help us on the fight against climate change, we must be careful not to become dumping grounds for all kinds of technologies. And then we must also insist that there should be technology transfers and there must be local capacity development so that Nigeria is not just bringing finished products to the country. We must insist that our fight against climate change must expand Nigerian economy, must provide jobs for our people, and must create wealth. I think that if we go in that direction, Nigeria will be playing its role in the Community of Nations globally.
All right, many thanks. And the Honorable Minister, and my guests have been the Minister of State for Environment, Dr. Isiaq Salako from Dubai, venue of the COP28 meeting in the United Arab Emirates, and Mr. Pardy Ezeala, an environmentalist. Thanks for your inputs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having us.
Another break beckons. Weekend Fire continues in a moment. Glad to know you're still there. Now let's join our sport desk for sports update.
Stephen Joshua of the Federal Fire Service has emerged winner of the 4th edition of the Chief of Defense Staff Armed Forces and Other Security Agencies Half Marathon in Abuja. Joshua breasted the tape in a time of 1 hour 8 minutes flat to win his first title, while defending champion Deborah Pam of the NSCDC, with a time of 1 hour 22 minutes and 37 seconds, won the women's event to retain a title.
I train very hard to see that I come up here and win the marathon.
I'm the champion of the defense marathon. So I still maintain my position. I really thank God.
You must appreciate and protect each other as partners and co-stakeholders in the overriding task of securing our dear nation.
Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Folashade Yemieson, has lauded standard of competition and organization of the 42nd Federation of Public Service Games, FEBSGA, in Minna, Niger State. Folashade Yemieson, alongside FEBSGA President Aloku Amebi, who joined over 10,000 athletes at the Ahmadu Bahago Sports Complex in Minna, commended Niger State's Governor Mohammed Umar Bago for his dedication to sports development in the state.
The leadership have been working tirelessly. That's why I'm here, and they've been working to ensure that the games go from one stage to the other. It's getting better every year.
From the day that this program is hosted here in Niger State, we've been able to improve in our internally generated revenue because people are coming to patronize our product.
The role it plays is that it brings all the civil servants from their desks to the track and field, thereby building bridges, taking the stress of work off.
I want to use this opportunity to express my profound gratitude to the government and good people of Niger State. I haven't considered it necessary to host us the second time.
Moving on to the Nigeria Premier Football League, Emmanuel Ekpenyong's 11th minute strike was enough for Doma United to secure a 1-0 victory over Kano Pillars at the Pantami Stadium in Gombe and return to the top of the league with 25 points on match day 13. With sports update, Ayodeji, Makinde, NTA News.
And that's it on Weekend File. Many thanks for being a part of it. I am Olajide Bello.